Let me ask you guys something. What would you say the current perception of Super Mario is to people anywhere from my age all the way down to, let's say, 12 to 15 years old? His longevity obviously exceeds just a lengthy run in gaming because there's a new Castlevania side-scroller coming out this year. That's longevity, but Super Mario would fall more in the category of Bugs Bunny or Mickey Mouse because he exceeds video games themselves and stands as a pop culture figure that you know and love even if you've never played the games that birthed him. And that's what I'm getting at. If you started with Creed instead of Rocky because you're 20 years old, a parent or an uncle or somebody is bound to recommend you see where it all started and watch the original Rocky movies starting in 1976. With the plethora of Super Mario games spanning 8 consoles, always reinventing the character with different ways to experience him, assuming you don't just know him as an action figure or a cartoon character or a movie character, his legacy started with 3 of the greatest games on the NES, arguably the best title on the Super Nintendo, and in particular, the greatest video game of all time. No fucking question about it. This is the single greatest video game in history, Super Mario Bros. 3. Yet who says to a younger person who knows of Super Mario, you gotta play Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES to know where it all comes from. Otherwise, you don't know Mario. Maybe you think you do, but you don't. Maybe this happens more often with movies because of how easily accessible movies are today. If Halloween Kills is the first a young person hears of Michael Myers, maybe dad says, oh dude, if you just found out about Michael Myers, you gotta see the original from 1978, you Gen Z motherfucker. And that movie is one click away on your streaming platform of choice that hosts it. Couple that with the fact that if you still have cable in your house or satellite, same shit. It plays on various channels every October and you might just stumble across it in the living room when it comes on. But for a young cat being recommended they see for themselves where Super Mario Bros. First began, what do? Go out and buy a console from fucking 1985 that uses cartridge games? Now, of course, there's ports of Super Mario 3 that are accessible on more modern consoles for people that know how to fucking work a modern console. You can probably figure that out. But still not quite the same accessibility in recommending an old movie that's a click away on streaming. It's just not quite the same thing.
For having an opinion we don't agree with, you have been kicked from server.
I tell my gaming friends who are close in age to me who live for platformers dating at least as far back as the PlayStation 1 era, if you've never played Super Mario 3, you don't know what gave birth to platformers. It's like passively enjoying whatever the fuck modern rock music is out there today, but you've never heard Led Zeppelin, or you've never heard the Rolling Stones. No honor for the heritage. And I myself don't really enjoy Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones, to be honest with you. I'd prefer Def Leppard or Survivor. But I'm not a dude who doesn't know Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones. I know the history. I know where rock and roll comes from. And don't even get me started on hip-hop fans throwing away its rich history like the genre begins and ends with fucking Drake. To be honest, I don't really know or keep up with this generational labeling. I checked out of technology 10 years ago, and by the time I checked back in, I don't even know how to work an Xbox One if I'm left alone with it in the house. I tried once. It said download the games, so I guess consoles stopped reading discs some time ago. And then when I tried to load the game, it said I needed to buy new storage, and I said, fuck this, and I had sex instead of playing video games. All right, let's see. Okay, it looks like I'm a millennial, born in the last year that qualifies for it. And when people jokingly call me a boomer, it looks like they got that wrong. I think they really more mean to say Gen X. That's the era all my favorite shit came out of. I guess my friends born just a year after me are Gen Z. That sounds so terrible. It's already tainted by memes and sayings about how they're all pussies. I'm sorry, guys. I know not all of you guys are like that. Still close-minded fucks that won't play Super Mario Bros. 3, but not all of you are soy boys and shit. And kids born after 2013 are Gen Alpha. So they're going to be the biggest alpha males. Got it. Dude, I got a little collective of gaming friends who are the coolest, most insightful cats I know. We've all known each other 15 plus years. We got a little group chat where we banter about PlayStation 2 and fellowship a bit. Yeah, I call it fellowshipping because that's how men improve their perspective by sharing common experiences. We'll be in there like, how was your weekend? This woman broke my heart this weekend. Then another one will come in and be like, I remember my last heartbreak, but I powered through it, and I met another woman, and this time the titties was even bigger. And somewhere in the interim of all this kind of shit, I'm in there like, fellas, whether you're Gen Z or Gen Millennial or whatever the fuck, we're finally old. We're all retro gamers now, by default. Talking about Sly Cooper at our age in 2026 is the same thing as James Rolfe talking about the NES in the early 2000s. And that puts a whole new perspective on it. At the time, James was hardly a retro gamer. Talking about, I'm going to bring you back to the past. He was just talking about games that came out when he was a kid. And now we get what it's like to get old, or to begin the process of really aging. If it happened in your lifetime, it was yesterday. Not 20 years ago, rightfully classified as retro gaming. That couldn't be. It's Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper's not old, 20 years old. It's not that it wasn't from a while ago, but it still feels like no, it's not. It's old. I'm old. Fuck. Yeah, man, anything that happened in your lifetime was yesterday. It's finally coming into perspective. All the times like an uncle or one of my dad's friends was like, when were you born? And I'm like, 1996. And he goes into a daze like, oh, dude, 96. I was with my first bitch. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, fuck, we were in college. Fuck. And you're like, and? I never understood why older people did that. Now I get it. Nah, I get it now. Time is a motherfucker. I remember dating a girl and her little brother was over the house. And I was like, when were you born? And he was like, 2013. And I'm like, why does it feel like nobody should be born in 2013? Thieves in Time had just come out. The fuck you mean you were just being born? That can't happen. So to the guys who won't go as far back as Super Nintendo or NES to experience the original Mario that started it all. And Mario, the original, I guess technically started it all, but this is the game that created platform video gaming. It created it all. I just want to offer the perspective that can you believe there's kids who won't play PlayStation 2 because it's old, because it's outdated? And to tell those kids, imagine all the great titles you're missing by avoiding PlayStation 2 altogether just because it came out a few years before your time. Just know that similarly, you're the old outdated fuck now. They're like, yeah, I got your PS2 right here. I got a PlayStation 5. It has Wi-Fi. I remember when I was a kid, my mom wanted me to watch a couple of old black and white classics. And when I was really little, I was like, no, I can go far back, but I can't go as far back as black and white. I got to cut off. And she was like, you close-minded fuck. I was 10. And sure enough, what I came to discover just a few years later, Mama was right. I was being a close-minded fuck. That's Bela Lugosi's eyes on my body permanently. Had I avoided black and white movies my whole life because they came out so long before my time, I would have never experienced one of my favorite movies of all time, the original Dracula. And then let's follow that through. What created the vampire craze in horror movies? I would have been one of those ignorant cats that just never cared to know. Who cares? You got Blue Bloods, you got like all the modern shit that I'm comfortable with. You know, Dracula started it all. Bela Lugosi. If you don't see Dracula, you can't appreciate the Ed Wood biopic. You just be watching it like, who the fuck is this? There is nothing left that could be said in a retrospective respect to Super Mario Bros. 3. They've done it all on YouTube. All this is my sincere recommendation letter to the generation that refuses to play it because it's old. You have no fucking clue what you're missing. This is some shit your daddy should have told you. Your mama should have told you. People should have told you about this. Kids be like, I know about Super Mario Brothers. What, from the fucking Switch? I just found out what a Switch is. Hi, got a couple of questions for you guys. So this looks like a fair price for a Wii U. That's the latest Wii, right? Or did they make a third one? Here's the only thing that confuses me. Is this a portable console or a home console? Because I'm looking at this and it looks like a big Game Boy. What? So... Oh my god. So how old is the Wii U? That's not new? Drops dead. What the fuck is going on? Yo, I know about Super Mario Brothers. The fuck you do? You don't know about this. Motherfuckers don't know about this. You motherfuckers don't know shit about nothing. I don't know dick about balls. It all starts with this first box that's on the ground, and you get that leaf, and you turn into a fox. Bam. This fucking generation don't know shit about Super Mario. All they know is about how to argue about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on the internet.
I'll tell you this, in 10 years, it won't be a problem anymore because the old generation will be going. It'll be the youth being the old, and the youth is accepting, and the youth is understanding, and the youth is positive. So we're not knocking nothing. We're accepting everything as a global group.
Yeah, community.
And there won't be any problems.
Let's go down the same path we always do with you new breeders. What made music great before autotune? It was the soul in the music, like the technically precise elements of a Rush song. What made movies great before CGI? It was the alignment of every element that draws you in and affects your soul in a motion picture. So what made video games great before the number one selling point was graphics so advanced that they mimic motion picture? It was a playing experience led by mechanics perfectly tailored to be so addictive that these plain-ass 2D graphics on this basic-ass engine still suck you into the television. And the biggest thing I can say that speaks to that point is I actually have never liked the look of Super Mario Bros. 3. For real, I haven't played it in years, and before playing it again very recently, I more so always thought, it's the greatest thing on the NES, I get it, it's classic, but I'm hyper aware of how classic it is, and I'm over it. Plus, its basic-ass color palette palette mixed with the fact that I don't really like the fox ears and tail on Mario always left me thinking back more fondly of Super Mario World more often than thinking back on Super Mario Bros. 3. With the capabilities of the Super Nintendo, just mixed with a way better, more fantastically colored game, Super Mario World always stood out more in my memory. I even think Super Mario Bros. 2, even though it isn't the real Super Mario Bros. 2, is a more pleasant looking game as far as its color spectrum and something that visually sucks me in. So if the graphics or the look or color spectrum of this game rub you the same way, making you think it's too primitive, it's too old, I don't want to play it, I kind of feel you on that. Just the memory of how that game looks always prevented me from replaying it again as an adult, because I'm like, it's great, I get it, but I've been there, done that. Yet recently I copped one of these modern dual consoles and bought Mario 3 to go along with it just for the fuck of it. One stage in, I'm sort of refamiliarizing myself with it. 2 stages in, I'm getting the hang of it for the first time in years. 1 world in, and I am instantly hooked, realizing I can't put it down. I had completely forgotten the way your brain and thumbs internalize the patterns of how to move through this game, as if it was developed with every mechanic that ignites peak dopamine in your brain. And that is what makes a video game playing experience. This is everything a video game is supposed to be, and everything a video game is supposed to do. A specific form of autopilot your brain switches into while playing until the last impression left on you when you turn off your NES for the night is begging you to come back, turn the NES back on, and play through the rest of the game to completion. There are very few games that universally have this effect on everyone, and that is why this is the greatest video game of all time. On top of how multifaceted it is. You decide how you want to experience Super Mario Bros. 3, especially with how great of a brief pastime it is. It's great to kill 2 hours and put your mind on Do Not Disturb for a bit. It's even satisfying to chop away at for 35 minutes. I like to play a few stages while doing remote post-production. Sometimes we go over instruction for a color grade or something. Now my colorist needs to chip away at that for the next half hour, and I play a little Mario 3 until he's done and we're ready to move on to the next scene. A half hour of Mario 3 is great before work. It's great after sex. It's great if you have things to do in the next 40 minutes, but you're not quite ready to leave the house yet. It slots in anywhere because of its approachability. It's fun to play for hours, but it's also really fun in short bursts, like 15 to 20 minutes. You can savor the experience by working through the game little by little over a series of months because you never want it to be over. You can also choose to make a day out of it and become immersed in the full playthrough all at once. Any way you attack it, you're likely still leaving some replay value left over because maybe years later you pick it up again after beating it the traditional way, and now you want to play through it again and find the hidden items that you skipped over the first time. You might want to grab a warp whistle and jump from stage 1 to stage 6, or find an intended glitch that takes you straight to the last world. Leave no stone unturned because this game is a rabbit hole of Easter eggs, hidden gems, and different ways to play through it. You can experience it in the linear fashion, warp through it, and play backwards through it. And I think that's a reason this game feels so big beyond its simple appearance, because of the subconscious impression felt that the present, the future, and the past of this story is accessible all at once, depending on how you approach it, which makes a simple primitive side-scroller feel like a vast world to explore. The world of NES Mario, which is much more than meets the eye. Now to my closed-minded Gen Z fucks, you are aware that a modern game is a different experience, right? It's like a playable movie that makes you zone out with the best graphics to date, and it's the standard of your time. Yet why do so many of you still find enjoyment in a simple iPhone game? Well, there is absolutely more of a dopamine reward system at play with simpler games like those, and a 2D side-scroller is very similar. To speak to the old idea of video games rotting your brain, I don't know if Super Mario Bros. 3 is a candidate for that or not. On one hand, it heightens all your senses and puts your thinking skills to the test, but the brain rot aspect might be the way you can't turn it the fuck off and absolutely sparks the potential to play it until you're blue in the face. That kind of might sound like what brain rot may look like. If I was a child of the 80s and it was between homework and Super Mario Bros. 3, my homework ain't getting done, especially at a time where this was the most advanced gaming was. Oh god, that would have been so cool. Or what about as a teenager? If I was a teenager and this was the most advanced shit, oh, what a simpler time it would have been. Though today, whether this can compete with advanced gaming technology is not even the reason to consider it. It's the experience of a game that meets the full potential of how fun a game can be. Not a half movie, half multiplayer online experience, none of that. Like, what's more fun, ping pong or a fucking roller coaster? Well, the experience of a roller coaster is way more of a blast, but 2-3 games of ping pong in, you really don't want to stop. That is the fun of a game. And I'd argue if everything I was saying wasn't true, your little iPhone games wouldn't even exist. We'd live in a world of PlayStation 5 multiplayer games and nothing else. Mind-muscle connection is instantaneous about 3 stages in. Once you're all the way locked in, the flow and pace is yours to set. Running, jumping, and maneuvering around enemies and hitting boxes for power-ups becomes a pleasure of its own. Running at top speed triggers a sound that feels like you've just switched gears in your car to drive above the speed limit. And there's an instinctive feeling that every time you die, you've simply gotten ahead of yourself or developed your flow, but then simply stepped out of rhythm. And that's why dying in this game is like, oh man, instead of a violent rage quit. The game has welcomed you in and made clear that it isn't in any way fucking you. Every choice in which you play through the levels is up to you, and when you die, it's because you miscalculated, making you excited to try again because it isn't you against the game, it's you against you. This is God-tier development. And with everything I just laid out, you had the birth of platforming, a genre which today has pretty much been left in the dust, and something that my love for holds me in forever nerd status, even as a gym bro, because all men like video games for the most part. But truthfully, more passive gamers of today do go with what you actually might say are more masculine options. A lot of the more popular games of the past 10 to 15 years are more violent, more realistic, and more edgy. And here I am getting geeked over a cartoon depiction of an Italian with fox ears on his fucking head and a tail. But what's addictive and mentally engaging about simply throwing punches or simply shooting? To me, nothing. And that's why while I really don't think Super Mario 3 had a great look and a very odd choice of clashing colors, who gives a fuck about a game that's more visually appealing if it fails to suck me in the same way? Without Super Mario Bros. 3, there would be no Crash Bandicoot. That's just to name one example, but truthfully, there would be none of the more famous popular platformers we've come to know and love in the years since Super Mario Bros. 3. To run, jump, punch, maybe shoot, maybe stomp on an enemy, grab a power-up, and feel the anxiety of facing a boss battle was never done so perfectly and forever became something worth trying to mimic for other developers who watched Nintendo crack the motherfucking code. So I invite anyone listening of a certain age to once in a blue, instead of being a prick, when mom or dad says some shit like, "This isn't music, you don't know real music," instead of rolling your eyes, let mom or dad show you what the fuck they're talking about. Because everything we consume in entertainment is a downstream, watered down copy of a genre, form of art, or particular piece of entertainment that at one point shocked, entertained, and gripped the world by creating the source material for what all your favorite shit copied. Only today it's just a watered down bullshit ripoff of what once was. Even Crash Bandicoot, which is Sony's Super Mario, is pretty good, but sucks balls compared to Mario. Who's your favorite rapper? Here's my favorite rapper.
We get freaky in the studio late night. That's why the beats that you hear coming real tight.
Here's your favorite rapper.
We turned up in the studio late night. That's why the songs that you hear coming real tight.
You take the point? Whether you find more modern or more recent platformers that you're pretty satisfied with, or you're completely unsatisfied with platformers of the past 20 years, either way, it's always great to see where it all started, because it started there for a reason. The conception, the invention, the trendsetter. Vinyl is back, and if you'll cop a fucking vinyl but not a Nintendo, I just want you to know there was a world before you full of simple joys and fantastic entertainment that you never knew, and it existed on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And before I go, let's set the record straight on this out with the old, in with the new mentality. It makes no sense in relation to gaming. It became all about technology and graphics instead of the games themselves. So does the PlayStation 5 have, what would you say, fellas, how many titles? How many, y'all? Just hundreds and hundreds of excellent titles you can only get on PS5. So without owning a PS5, you'll miss out on all of them? Hold that thought, but let me answer the question. Fuck no. You got a PlayStation 5 because it's the modern technology of the time that can live stream porn, Netflix, host multiplayer games, and rub your balls. Oh, I can connect it to my Apple Watch and monitor my heart rate. There are titles exclusive to particular consoles from different eras. So if you follow what I'm saying, games should be known in relation to the console it plays on, not the era that console came from or the state of the technology. Wii U is now outdated. I just found that out. We're into the Switch 2 now. I didn't know there was a Switch 1. But if I'm thinking about copping a Wii U, it's likely because I'm interested in a game I can only play on Wii U. And in that respect, whether it is or is not with the fucking times is an asinine notion to me, because who cares if it's the latest and greatest? If there's a great game for the Wii U, I need the Wii U to play that game. Relevance, as we think of it in the States, is bonkers. Is Def Leppard relevant? The all-American get with the times notion would be to say no. Yet here they are playing a fucking arena this year. It's amazing that that's considered irrelevant. I also hate how the culture is so keen on deciding for us and telling us when something is outdated. Here's a statement from GameStop. GameStop put out a fucking statement like a news briefing to inform us of their standard of what is or is not retro gaming. GameStop today issues an official declaration that the Sony PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Nintendo Wii U are, for all particular purposes, now officially retro consoles. Didn't the last series of Wii U games come out like at the end of 2017? That's retro. The ruling was reached following careful analysis of multiple indicators, including the presence of component cables, the lack of Fortnite, suck my whole dick, and the realization that a lot of this launched when George W. Bush was still president. Is this a joke? I can't be playing something that came out when George W. Bush was president. That just changes the whole gaming experience. These games came out before I even knew about Kamala Harris. How am I supposed to play them? Have we not reached peak ridiculousness with how we judge what is modern and what is old school and what is behind the times and what is of the times? Are you hearing this? This is GameStop. They said this. We already had all the technological advancements we needed by the time the Wii U was out. The Wii U is peak technology. Now we're getting into the era of delving into all the extra Jetsons fucking Demolition Man level of technology that's just for fun and games and to destroy the fucking world. Don't sit here and tell me that the Wii U is actually anything that even resembles something like an ancient piece of technology. But while we're at it, just the way we have such a hoot of a time making jokes about what is old and outdated entertainment, I swear makes people talk without thinking. Like, I was at the house playing a Super Nintendo game and a girl was over and she was like, look at you with your ancient games from the 1800s. I'm like, this came out the year you were born. It's literally as old as you. Are you calling yourself old and ancient and outdated? Should I leave you and find a younger girl? Let's call that finding a next gen bitch. Better technology. Guys, this is all just to say, in order to keep with the times, you have to miss out on some pretty great shit. And if you're a gamer, don't let Super Mario Bros. 3 be one of them.